roughest crew afloat was Flint's. The devil himself would have feared to go to the sea with them. And he adds that Flint, a boozy old seaman with a blue mug, died of rum at Savannah. Dead, aye, sure enough he's dead and gone below, but if ever a spirit walked, it would be Flint's. Dear heart, but he died bad, did Flint. Now he raged, and now he hollered for rum, and now he sang 15 men were his only songmates, and I tell you true, I never rightly liked to hear it since. It was main hot, and the windy was open, and I hear that old song coming out as clear, and death hall on the man already. What is fact about the Pirate's House, now a famous restaurant, is that it is an old building with a long tradition of strange noises and lights at night on its top floor. In the old front part where they say seamen once stayed, it is whispered that no employee, even easygoing owner and manager Herb Traub, ever ventured up there alone at night. The Pirate's House is in the middle of the historic area. The 10 acres originally set aside at the time of the founding of Georgia in 1733 as Trustees' Garden in honor of the colony's packers in London. Modeled after the Chelsea Botanical Garden, it was the first experimental plot in America. Here, samples of fruit trees, flax, hemp, spices, indigo, and all that grape, vines, and mulberry trees were cultivated in order to find valuable crops for the new land. The mulberry trees of the hoped-for silk industry were eventually frozen, but plantings of cotton plants and peach trees thrived with attending success. The herb house, said to be the oldest building in Georgia, was built in 1734 to house the royal gardener, his stoolroom, office, and stable. The garden area was turned into the residential one by John Reynolds, the first governor of the colony, in 1748, and acquired by the Savannah Gas Company 100 years later. The herb house is now a part of the Pirate's House complex, adding to its mystique of history. Behind the house and along the riverside of the bluff stand the brick walls of old Fort Wayne, built to protect the area in 1759 as Fort Savannah, and then renamed for the Revolutionary War hero Mad Anthony Wayne. Rumors tell of an underground passage, portions of which may still be seen, linking the house with the river. It is said to be a haven for smugglers, drugged, unconscious men, including one unfortunate Savannah policeman with the dreaded beat of Folly's Alley, were shanghaied here and awoke to find themselves on outward sailing vessels. Pirate legends of the area abound. In the late 18th century, one Savannah citizen complained of French privateers in the harbor, where their sailors paraded the streets in bodies, night and day armed with cutlasses, daggers, and swords. Records of the famous pirate brothers Jean and Pierre Lafitte, allies of General Andrew Jackson in the 1850 Battle of New Orleans, indicate that they called at the docks of Charleston and Savannah. Pierre was aboard the schooner Nancy Eleanor when she left Charleston Harbor one dark night in 1821 in a clandestine manner, supposedly bound on a piratical expedition, according to the Charleston newspaper. It is said that Jean married a Savannah girl, Mary Morton, perhaps from the old fort area, and was redeemed through the love of a noble woman. It is known that the brothers' ship Jupiter stopped at Savannah in 1817 to take aboard a Greek sailor named Captain Nicholas, the same friend who was with Jean when he died at the Yucatan in 1826. When I took a psychic from Virginia Beach to the pirate's house while working on this book, her reaction was one of chills and depression from the cellar stairway, the smell of old blood, and the feeling that something very evil to some young men here. While visiting there, Stephen had said that there had been a feeling, as he had in so many refurbished buildings, of new images superimposed on old. It makes me depressed and a little sad, he said. Somehow, looking at my arm, I really expected to see a thick, hairy wrist, a blue seaman's jacket with an old braid and buttons, and a large hand holding a foaming tankard of ale. Leaving the building, Stephen said to me, I also think there is going to be a fire there, but it won't be serious. It will not be in the old part, where we were. Maybe I should tell her, I answered, but never did so. I sensed that, for all his generosity and good-natured acceptance of the Captain Flint story, he was not really a believer in the supernatural. Long after that, we heard that there had been a slight fire in the pirate's house in the new part, the kitchen. Fortunately, it was easily controlled and did little damage. If you enjoyed